Let's talk a moment about how to identify your inner voice, okay? First, let's mention right out the gate that it's difficult for many of us to identify our inner voice because we didn't grow up learning how to connect with our inner voice. We didn't grow up learning how to identify or how to listen to our inner voice. Instead, we were taught that it was more important to listen to the voices around us. It was more important to obey the voices around us, right? That's what we were taught. So we didn't learn how to identify our inner voice. And so it became difficult as we grew older to trust ourselves. It became difficult as we grew older to practice discernment. And so we ended up putting ourselves in situations that we didn't really want to be in, or we ended up making decisions that didn't really align with us, but we decided to make those decisions anyways and do those things anyways because, well, I don't know how to listen to my inner voice, so I don't know what I really want. So then we end up telling ourselves over and over and over again, I don't know what I want. 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 Do you ever find yourself repeating that phrase, constantly repeating that phrase, I don't know what I want? Well, it's because you're telling yourself that you are your mind. It's because you're telling yourself that the voice of your mind is your true voice, when in reality, the voice of your mind is just an aspect of yourself as you are existing in this physical world. Your mind is just a physical aspect of yourself. Your mind is not your true voice, right? Your mind only has as much control as you allow it to have. So here's an example. If your mind says jump and you jump, then there is some piece of you that listened, right? So let's take a moment to say, well, how can I identify my inner voice? Well, when your mind says jump, there is a moment that exists between the command jump and you making the decision, right? Insert your inner voice into that moment. That's where your inner voice exists. Your inner voice exists in that moment. Your inner voice inserts itself, I should say, in that moment between the command being made and the decision being made, right? And so that's when you have an opportunity to practice discernment. That's when you have an opportunity to say, how should I move forward in this moment? So it's in that moment, right? The moment between the command being made and the decision being made. It's in that moment when you can begin to reach for the different options that are available to you, right? It's in that moment when you can begin to do some research to find out how your innermost being would want you to show up in any particular moment. It's in that moment when you can begin to do some research, to question, to ask, how does my innermost being want to act? How is my innermost being guiding me in this moment? It's in that moment, the moment between the command being made and the decision being made. It's in that moment that you begin to identify your inner voice, right? It's in that moment when you begin to say, oh, maybe I don't actually want to jump. Maybe there's another decision available to me that might feel better. Maybe I do want to jump. So I'm going to put a bookmark here. And the bookmark is when the command is made, instead of acting impulsively and making the decision right away because you believe there's no other decision available to you, the breath is the bookmark. So it's in that moment when, after the command is made, you take a deep breath, you allow the breath to anchor you, you allow the breath to be a bookmark. So because maybe you might want to come back to that command that says jump. And then maybe you might want to explore the other options. So you put a bookmark there so you can explore the other options, right? Maybe you're reading a book and yeah, it's good, but it's not really doing for you what you would like it to do. So you put a bookmark where you ended and then you go explore another book, right? So that's what the breath can be. That's why utilizing the breath is important, right? So what happens when you decide, or when do you actually make a decision? You make a decision once you can feel the clarity. And then you might ask, well, how do I know when clarity is present? You know when clarity is present when the breath is even, when you're taking even breaths. You know when clarity is present when the tension has eased up or either left your body. That's when you know clarity is present, and that's when you actually want to maybe make a decision, right? And so that's how you identify your inner voice. You identify your inner voice by pausing in between that moment.